moment in my life, I just realized that I can use my own experience to make the films. Now, sometimes the people ask me if I prefer to make the films about immigrants, and it's not true. If I have to put all my film philosophy in one sentence, it could be that I like to make the films about the people. As a child, I used to read a lot of books about different subjects and a lot of books about war. And at some point in my life, I asked myself, why is somebody writing again a book about the war? What can you say about the war? Something that nobody is writing before you. But through my experience, actually I realized that all these books were not books about war, but about the people in special circumstances, in difficult circumstances. And that circumstances bring some human characters above. And the first 3 films that I made, when I was finished with my 3rd film, one of the friends of mine came to me and he congratulated me and he said, it's a great trilogy about the war, people and the music. And honestly, I wasn't aware of the fate that my 3 films were about the war. And it's the same with the immigrants. I was so interested in the question about the relationship between language and identity, especially identity of immigrants. How deal you as an immigrant with your old culture, your old identity, and the new culture, new identity? And actually that was also the subject of this film, The Strange Folks. Came from my personal experience, because in now I'm living in the Limburg, that's the southern part of the Netherlands, and that's the province where people speak some kind of language, dialect, that other Dutch people cannot understand and cannot speak. And you know, if you are living there, if you go to the local shop, the people there will say hello and all these things first in Limburg language dialect, and if they understand that you cannot speak that, they will continue the communication in the Dutch language. And I couldn't learn that language because there is not pretty clear language, because one village and other village a distance of 10 kilometers speaks different variations of the Limburg. But I met some people, some foreigners as me, who learned that language. And I started working on this film with a very short and simple question: in God's sake, why somebody has to speak Limburgs? And from that question I start looking for the people with their own stories, their own reasons to speak that language. And after the short period I discovered actually that it's not just a question of the identity, but to be accepted, to find your place in the new environment. And all of these people had own special reasons to learn that language. For example, the Mitzi, the Slovenian woman, the reason to learn Limburg is her love with one man from Maastricht, from Limburg. And the same man learned to speak Slovenian. And if you now look at these 2 people, you can ask yourself, what's happened? Is Mitzi now Limburgse, or is Nico Slovenian? The other character, Herman, he played the bass drum in the local orchestra, and his reason was the music, because all the people in that local orchestra speaks on the repetitions, on the rehearsals, the Limburg dialect. For a little guy from Haiti, Guy, it was the friendship. All friends of him speak Limburg at the school and at the football team. So I believe in that way that the language can determine your identity is part of it, your identity, but just one part of your identity. And other way, it's the tool to communicate with other people. I have to say that for instance, the Slovenian identity is disappearing, and that's the tragic of the character of Mici. She was the first child of the Slovenian mine workers there, and all her life she built that cultural community in the south part of the Netherlands with the belief that that will exist forever. And her main question is now she's very old and nobody lives forever, but now she has four or six huge bags full with Slovenian folklore costumes, and nobody wants to wear that. Nobody wants to dance in folklore group Sveta Barbara. Nobody wants to sing in the choir Zvon, and that's how tragic. That's her question also in the film, and especially in her life. Is it possible that it will disappear with me or with my generation? I'm living 20 years in the Netherlands, and I really could see the changes in the last 20 years. And it's not only the big issue in the Netherlands, but in the whole Europe. The question of the fourth Europe. How can you protect your market? How to deal with the crisis, with all this stuff, and how can you still be open as a community? And I didn't want to make political statement with this film, but I couldn't ignore the reality, because one of the characters, Herman, told me about the past, about the people in this village who helped his father to learn to build a little house, which way you can do all these things that are part of the local community and the culture. And now, 50 years later, there are a lot of political parties in the Netherlands who wants to stop the other immigrants to come to the country. They try to change even the Dutch law, where it's possible to send immigrants back to this own country if they make some wrong things or criminal things, even if they are the fourth generation of immigrants. What it's, in my opinion, insane. I'm working on a film called Asielzoekers, and the Dutch word asylum seekers is asielzoekers, and I found one social media website with more than 600 young people who used to live for years in refugee centers, different refugee centers in the Netherlands. And what stuck me with that subject is that they wrote with so much love and even nostalgia about the time they spent in the refugee centers, that I was really intrigued for the reasons for that. But I have to say that because of the very slow asylum seekers procedure in the Netherlands, could happen in the last years that some children lives even 10 years. And for these young people now, the refugee center is not only refugee center, it's home. And they have some kind of realistic picture of these centers as the place where they can be free. They can play with other children, the place where they had 200 friends. And now in the very individualistic Dutch society, you cannot have 200 friends. You have to work on your future, you have to deal with other values. And then is the question, they are prepared for that, because they spent 10 years playing in some refugee centers and nobody cared about them, and because their parents couldn't be able to prepare them for the society that they don't even know. And that's the theme of my new film, and I've started shooting material 3 months ago, and I follow 4 characters with their own stories, with their own dreams and efforts to find their own place in the Netherlands. I don't believe because I have to edit the film March, April, May. I don't believe that it's finished so soon. But if I'm finished, I will send you the copy, of course.